Hey Fivers and geeks all around the world. Welcome to another episode of Fiverwatch. Today I am joined with G, Mika, and Mayor, and we're coming at you with another episode recap of Falcon and the Winter Soldier episodes 4 and 5.
But wait, on the heels of the series finale this week, okay, we'll be talking about episodes 4 and 5 in great detail. So if you haven't watched those episodes yet, you have been warned. Spoilers will be had. Okay, so we will continue the conversation in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Thank you guys for coming back. It's been a while, and we've had some really interesting episodes. I've been rearing to talk about this with other people because it's been a crazy week for everyone. I'm sure, especially here in the Philippines. But we're back again. But before we go to the more recent episode, let's dial it back and let's talk about last week's episode, episode 4. The episode was named "The World Is Watching." And I know, just from conversations, individual conversations with you guys, I know that this episode really touched a lot of you in special ways. Actually, from what I understand, G and Mika all told me that this was actually one of their favorite episodes so far. Of course, I don't know how you feel about episode 5 yet, but tell us why. What reached out to you in this in episode 4?
Well, for me, aside from the iconic shot at the end of episode 4, I thought everybody really did well as what their roles are. I mean, we saw Sam playing his shrink role to a certain degree. We saw Bucky have a really emotional scene at the beginning of the episode. We saw Zemo being Zemo as also fun and also as a compelling character. And then also, like I said earlier, the last shot, we see John Walker being the man he's about to become. So I thought it played out well. And also some really cool action scenes, here and there. Yeah, I really liked that episode. And I thought also, not to sort of jump ahead, and I thought the next episode as well was also as good. So, yeah.
For me, it was the best episode so far. Episode 4 was, I feel like the best episode so far for this series, just because, oh my god, it was just it was a really it changed the game for the series. I feel it, and I feel for the rest of Phase 4, it kind of really set the tone. If that whole last sequence wasn't enough of a masterpiece as it was, you had so many emotions going through this episode. As G mentioned, there was that, they opened with that wonderful emotional scene with Sebastian Stan. And, it was there. He didn't say a word, and I didn't know what was going on. But I was crying too, and I didn't understand why. And, you had Ayo there that just said that you are free, and it just meant so much. And then your emotions were pulled in the other direction with Titi, which everybody laughed at, I'm sure. And then, the last 10 minutes of the episode, which was just so compelling. Jumping ahead a little bit, but just because it falls into this discussion. But when that happened to Battlestar, I feel like it was almost like, when how everybody got shocked when Gwen Stacy died in the comics just because of that accident. It felt like that. It was like, we're so used to people being thrown around because superheroes have superpowers and everything, and we actually forget that the normal everyday person can actually die with just a simple punch or a kick. There is that level of strength that they have and recovery that they have that we mortals do not. And to see just how different that was, to see suddenly somebody like Battlestar get thrown, and that just really, I think it flipped the switch for Marvel and for Phase 4, and then everything that happened afterwards was just, oh my god, chef's kiss for Marvel. And I was just floored. I was just floored with that last 10 minutes. It was a masterpiece, and the visual at the very end, that was enough to show you what Phase 4 is offering us.
I guess this episode, like what Mika said a while ago, it opens up Phase 4 a lot more. Not in terms of the story, the world building, but because Marvel is actually taking a chance to tell these stories that are for real, right? So this is the second foray, I guess, into topics that weren't as discussed openly in TV shows before, right? So WandaVision talked about grief, and now this talks about politics and racial discrimination, okay, and the standing of a black man in American society, basically. And it shows that with enough good writing and enough good acting, okay, even in a superhero show, we get, I guess, the most real portrayal of our world, right? And that's what I liked about episode 4, because it opened the door to that.
Yeah, see, Ter, so I don't know, like, what do you feel about it? I mean, you've been the one who's like kind of like not iffy, or sorry, iffy about this episode. Like, what made you sort of like feel that this was not, I don't know, live to
It
the
was
heights
us.
that we?
It was our fault.
It's
'Cause we
your fault
overhyped
because you
it.
made me. Yeah, you overhyped me.
We
but to
ruined
be
it.
honest, no, but to be honest, there were several scenes that really burned a mark in my head after watching it. Like definitely that scene with Sebastian Stan, man. I mean, me and Candy, when we were watching it, we were like, this man, give this man like an Oscar or something, because that performance, dude, he was. You could just see in his eyes like the grief, the pain, everyone that he's harmed and like brought tragedy to. He could really feel it, and just he was just bawling. Ang galing. Basta that scene was my favorite scene for me in that whole episode. And of course, for me, I have to admit that my favorite guy here in this show is Zemo, and I love that scene where they were all hanging out in his manor in Latvia, and he was comparing basically super soldiers are basically supremacists, because if you think about it, that's what the Aryans wanted to be. They wanted to become the perfect humans. They wanted to become the perfect race. So I love that in a way Zemo's actually right. I mean, you know, in a
Yeah.
twisted and Machiavellian way. Yeah, I mean,
And-
if you have a Captain America running around as a perfect guy, that's more or less like an American version of a Red Skull, who was also like the perfect soldier.
To his point, like he said that if ever someone wants to take the serum, then he is inherently a supremacist, because he likes to have more power than everybody
He wants
else.
to be better. He wants to be
Yeah,
better
'cause he
than
wants to be better.
everybody. And
Yeah.
I think that it was it's so great to see all of this gray area actually between all of the characters. It's so well done because nobody is 100% right. Nobody is 100% wrong. Even Sam. He has his faults as well. Like, especially like, with how he handled, for example, like, let's say his family or his naivety. He represents that. Bucky represents something else. Zemo represents something else. Carly does too. And even John Walker. John Walker does too. I mean, it's so great to actually see this pure origin of a villain and where it actually starts. And that scene that he had with Lemar when they were sharing a drink together, and somebody came up to him, he signed, he was really nice guy, and he just plain asked, if you had the serum, would you take it? And when you think about, he was referencing that they were in a war, they were in Afghanistan. And of course, you have an experience like that wherein you are supposed to have the power to protect people that you love, people that you fight against, and you didn't. Suddenly you're given a second chance to do that. And it's like, you know what? It made me think. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I would have made the same decisions John Walker did. So it's like, it's so wonderfully well fleshed out, all of these different perspectives. And what's beautiful about it also, and terrifying at the same time, is that all of these perspectives are so near home to us in real life.
It's hard to argue with you guys that this episode was really a masterpiece. And of course, I mean, jumping forward, we have that epic scene where the shield is stained.
Yeah.
The shield is, I mean,
That was such a
Carly
nice
even
shot.
mentions.
That was
Oh,
such a
that
nice
was.
shot.
Yes.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Just terrifyingly beautiful.
And of course, all over the internet, we would see just a shield with blood, and that's just it's just wrong. There's goosebumps just thinking about it. Just like, I mean, for the past 15 years, we've been like I know people who idolize Captain America.
Yeah.
I've been hearing people have been giving death threats to
Wyatt
Russell
Oh my god.
because they hate him that much.
Which, by the
Which
way,
means that he's a great actor.
Yes.
It's a new Joffrey.
Yeah. And I like that
that
he's
means he's
not
doing his job
in
well.
social media, so he doesn't know the he doesn't know the hate against him.
So he became the guy we all love to hate.
He's
And
like the new
He's
Joffrey.
cool about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the
He's
new
the new
Joffrey.
Joffrey.
He's the new Joffrey.
So yeah.
Right? Yeah, but
Super good job.
I
Super good
felt
job on
really
that.
unsettled a little bit when I saw that final shot. And like while he was like bashing the person's head in, right? Like Chris Evans, Captain America, like flashed before my eyes really, really fast. Like everything he did, right? From first Avenger all the way to Endgame, right? It's like, but that's the thing that saved the world.
That shield
Yeah.
was, they from episode 1 they've been talking about how that shield is a symbol, and suddenly it's stained with blood.
That's true.
And
yeah. Ever
know,
since.
And in episode 5, it was so touching when Sam like got the shield and he was like trying to scrub it. It was like so.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And like he was being so careful with it, but he was also like
Yeah.
you also saw like I was like why is it stained with blood? It's like,
Before we go to episode 5, I just want to say that the part where Zemo was like crushing all the serum made me cry, actually. It kind of like, it reminded me of the same way I felt with Titanic when the Titanic sank, and I was like, sayang naman. And that's how I felt when the super soldier serums were like being crushed, because dude, that is such a valuable piece of, I don't know, man, like I want to be a superhero. I want one. Like, why would you just crush it like that? I don't know. But then again, I think it's because of Zemo. Like you guys said earlier, Zemo wants to like sort of like have a control to humanity. And I guess, yeah.
That's what I like
part of
about
his character.
Zemo. He's a very straight arrow. He's like,
Yep.
I will understand your situation, but I will kill people who invent superheroes like you. So let's just get that straight out the bat.
Yeah, and what I like was he didn't bend because that was his philosophy. No, he's anti-superhuman, and so when he had the opportunity, he could have easily just stuck it in and became like a super bad guy. But he was like, no, I mean that's my philosophy. I'ma crush it, and I'm gonna make sure I'll do whatever I can so that there are no super soldiers in the world. Which also harkens all the way back to Civil War, because when he went to that bunker where he lured Captain America and Iron Man, he also killed all of the super soldiers who were being
Right.
nested there. So it's actually very consistent with his character. So
It is.
Zemo-
I just to me though, it was heartbreaking just to see all that serum being wasted. Because come on, that's such a waste.
lawful
It's just-
evil. Lawful.
Yes,
evil.
lawful.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
lawful
wait.
evil. He's lawful evil.
So okay, episode 4, the world is watching, was definitely a mover and a shaker in this whole episode, in this whole
Yeah.
series. Definitely, it set the tone that we're not all about like skydiving, truck riding action scenes.
Yeah.
This is actually gonna hit home, and it's gonna hit home hard. So yeah, super cool episode. But I'm sure that we're all itching to talk about the newest episode 5. And actually this episode is called Truth. The name of the episode is Truth, and there are a lot of very interesting revelations.
There are
Truth.
There's
so
a lot
many
of
truth
interesting
bombs.
revelations.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Let's talk about the court scene to begin with.
Oh,
That was
I thought
harsh. That was hard.
And John Walker is clearly emulating his father here. I could see a little bit of Kurt Russell in his expressions in
Yeah.
this
Okay.
scene. So
Yeah.
Definitely.
It was hard. It was definitely hard just because you see all of the medals that he earned and just how quickly that all went away, that he was stripped of everything. And I
Yeah.
mean
Yep.
we have seen it in action in our in everyday lives in very recent years, that one mistake, even though you feel like at that time you're right, one mistake and you will not recover. Your career is dead, all of your achievements are dead, and that's exactly what happened to John Walker. That's why I feel like he's such a great villain, because he's so relatable. He's just everything that he's going through is something that either you or a close friend or somebody within your circle has gone through. And compared to like Sam and Bucky, for example, you might not know a Sam or you might not know a Bucky, but every one of us knows a John Walker, which is what makes it so personal. And like that court scene was just like, that was really hard.
You can't blame the dude. Like, he lost his best friend, lost his life, in a span of a day. Right?
Yeah.
So like,
Jeez.
I don't know how that feels, but that would really suck.
So we catch up with Baron Zemo in the Sokovia Memorial, and it's a very interesting scene because he gets visited by the White Wolf, aka the White Wolf, Bucky Barnes, and they have that whole talk. And he pulls the trigger on him, but it didn't have any bullets. And then the Dormalaji come and get him. So I was a little disappointed with that because I was hoping that at least we'd see more of him. But if he's locked up in the raft, then that means no more Barons.
No. Wait. I was gonna say, listen, dude, the raft is being controlled by none other than Thunderbolt Ross, and there are villains in the raft. So, dude, I think this is a sort of a segue for Zemo to lead or sort of be part of a Thunderbolts sort of, MCU
Yeah.
version of Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Sam-
And
That's
remember,
my takeaway.
and remember, Prefontaine, Valerie, Val in our head, but don't say it out loud. Okay, so Val gave US agent a card, right? And he's like, since you took the serum, you're a very valuable person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that
so
could be
just
also
to wait for
related.
my call. Just wait for my call. So that can be related. It can be like a Valerie / Ross partnership wherein they needed to do a Suicide Squad-ish group, right? Because
Yeah.
Marvel hasn't like went into that like anti-hero stuff yet fully, right? So that can be a seed for them, right?
Yeah.
So you have US
Clearly a
agent
setup.
and now a Zemo, right? And you have Red Hawk there as well.
I wanted to make sure that we talk about that interesting visit that Sam Wilson had with
For sure, yeah.
Isaiah Bradley.
Definitely, I think the most important scene, or one of the most important scenes in this entire show. If I'm just
Definitely.
being honest with
Dude,
you guys.
Carl
Yeah.
Lumbry should get an award. He's really,
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
good
man.
in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And,
when he was telling the story, you could really feel like he's like, I don't even understand why you're lumbering that thing around.
Yeah, there's so many good lines, and there's so many good lines in that one. And also, I just want to say, remember I said that Disney was being subtle with I think was it episode 2 or episode 3?
Yeah.
I guess they're not. It's right there.
Yeah.
The dialogue itself is
Yeah.
right there. There can never be a black Captain America, or I forgot the exact line, but
They
it
will
was, like,
never
right-
accept a black Captain America.
Oh yeah, there we go. And like, yep, boom,
And
there
you
you
know
go.
what? I think that really was the that was Disney basically beating everybody to the punch because after
Yeah.
after Endgame, of course the shield was passed over to Sam and everything, and Disney just basically threw it back to the audience with this series. Are you gonna actually want to see Sam as Captain America and throwing that
That's
back?
true.
And
Are you ready for it?
are you ready for
Yeah.
it? It's asking
Yeah.
the audience a very important question because we might say like, oh yeah, he deserves to be in everything, and then his movie might flop, and we never get the Black Captain America. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, female empowerment, Black Widow, and then nobody goes to see her movie. So it's that. It is that. So I guess like this going into the series that really does lay the foundations for that, and I'm so happy that Disney is taking this road and being very careful about addressing all of these different issues. This whole episode, actually episode 5, I feel was a very, very carefully written episode. Like
Yeah,
all of the
it was, yeah.
dialogue, that great scene between Sam and Bucky when they were training, passing around the shield. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
just like so carefully done, so done with just so much care and awareness. And I feel like it was really coming from the right place, especially since Marvel building everything up just to throw in questions like this, just to throw in questions like Wanda's grief, what makes a villain, and just throw questions like this. Are you actually ready for a black superhero like Sam? It just shows like that's why I feel like episodes 4, 5, and this actually going into the last episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier is so important because it just basically shows what Disney is willing to risk, and for a big franchise fandom, like Marvel, that's so important. That is so
Yeah.
important. So it's like, well, I'm gonna put on my Disney hat over here just to show supportive.
Yeah.
Kudos and
And
Love it.
and I
Go
like
mouse.
and I like that for all intents and purposes, Isaiah is exactly like Steve. Yeah, when he was telling his story, that was exactly what Steve did in First Avenger. Right? He went out of order. He went out of order to save his buddies who were in the POW camp. And when he came back, he was a hero. But when
He was a hero,
Isaiah
yeah.
did that, he was imprisoned for 30 years. Right?
My
Never to be heard
gosh,
again.
that's true.
Right? It's like
Tragic.
super parallel. It's super parallel. And the difference was the color of his skin. Right? And I like that Disney isn't like what Mika said. Disney isn't pulling punches with it because for all of us who have read the comics, we're pretty much resigned to like, oh yeah, because Steve is gonna give Sam the shield, right? So
Yeah.
Sam is gonna be the new Captain America. We've all accepted that because we read the comics. But what Marvel is doing now is that all of the non-African American people who are watching the show, are you ready for a black man to represent the best ideals of your country?
Yeah.
Right? Because that is who Captain America is. So it's not just passing the shield on, it's passing everything and what it entails, right? So it's pretty super deep. And I love that Marvel is taking time and actually like being
Conditioning us.
preparing us with it can be through dialogue or through actions, just so people can so the topic of that is put in the forefront and not just being hushed at the back, so it also shows the disparity between Sam and Isaiah, two black people of different generations, right? Because the one thing that Sam said is like, Isaiah, we gotta get your story out. You have to let people know about your story, because social media and gathering support for a story like this, right? Like an African American Captain America, right? It's huge, but Isaiah is like, don't you think I will live for a single day if the government finds out that I'm alive?
Yeah.
Right? So it's basically like Marvel is like, we're going into like a political history now, right? So I like that they're like, I'm like, oh my god, this thing is real. I can't even imagine how it feels like watching this show as an African American living in the United States.
Yeah.
This must have been like a dialogue that they have waited to happen on television for so long. And the second line was the most hurtful line of all. And even if they were, no self-respecting black man would ever be.
Yeah.
Would ever carry that white man's shoe.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, crap.
You just
So
feel
na-
the weight. You feel,
Yeah, you
the,
feel the
weight
weight.
of what they had to go through.
So if you're Sam, you're like, and you just saw John, like, desecrating the shield, you're like, oh, so I guess I need to be Captain America, right? And then you hear Isaiah saying, I'm like, if you're Sam, you're like, so what do I do?
Yeah, that
What
really
do
did
I
throw a
do?
curveball.
And I just want to comment also, like, you mentioned, you guys mentioned how Disney was, letting us get to ease into the idea of, Sam as Captain America, and doing so by having the series and also just letting Anthony Mackie just shine. He is just like, he's so endearing. He is so wonderful and so genuine on camera. It's like, dude, I want to hang out with you all day, every day, And it's just like,
I'll help you
and
fix
now
the
it's
boat.
like, yeah, I'm gonna go there. Well, what's your address? I'll bring some wood or something. It's
Yeah.
it's he's building up the kind of rapport that Chris Evans also had just for being a good old Steve Rogers and everything. He is doing the same thing just by being that likable, dependable guy who is just so fun to hang out with.
And then he
wings.
gets
Are you guys
maybe he
assuming
gets the
that
suit
it's a
after.
suit?
Maybe
I still
it could be
maintain,
wings.
like, Bucky got him a PlayStation from Wakanda. It's PlayStation 5. It's PlayStation 5. He's like, bro, this is yours. I
That's
got
the
it.
ultimate bro gift.
I called
No.
it a
You know.
favor. I called it
Mika,
a favor from Wakandans.
Mika,
Here
I'm
it
gonna
is.
one up you. I'm gonna one up you. The reason why The reason why he took a deep breath when he opened it because Shuri's inside.
Yeah, but
Shuri's
compact
inside.
Shuri.
Like Shuri comes out like,
Then
let's
naka
go,
Ant-Man form.
let's go.
It was very interesting that last scene how they left us with a cliffhanger. What's in the box? What's in the box?
Yeah,
And
I love that callback. I think it's a callback to both Pulp Fiction and Seven. Like, let's
Oh,
keep
yeah,
the
Pulp Fiction!
mystery behind.
That's
or like
right.
or like the classic after Age of Ultron. It's Avengers.
Yeah.
That's right. Although I
Yeah.
do think that like Sam deserves this. We need to
Yeah.
see him in all his glory as our Cap now, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Hopefully more Wakanda action. Although I think they're flying away already, so maybe we'll have to
Shuri
wait
in
and
the
see until they
box.
come back. Shuri in the box. Shuri in the box.
For Shuri. For Shuri.
But
Or
I
Shuri.
also feel like Isaiah's not done yet, and I hope that we will see something from his grandson as well.
A lot of really interesting stuff to look forward to. I think this series has brought us to places we never thought the show would go to, and super excited how it's gonna end. So as always, we're gonna come back to you after this whole series comes to a close. Thank you again for watching. Again, we're Fiverwatch. If you have any comments that we haven't covered, if you have any topics that we that you'd like us to cover, please comment in the comment section below and like and subscribe. We have a Facebook and we have a YouTube page, so you know what to do. Smash that like button. Until the next time, this has been Altair, G, Mika, and Mayor, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.